You're smart, you're motivated, you want to do something big. You're on the verge of being a young boss, and we're going to help you get there. I'm your host, Isabelle Guarino, and welcome to the Young Boss Podcast, where youth is your power. You get what you give. This week, we're learning how to smile with ketchup on your face, why every business owner needs a few pairs of patience pants, why under-promising and over-delivering is an outdated approach, and how owning your business persona will guide your customer service strategy. We're continuing our 3-part series with the customer service queen herself, Krista Salari. Let's dive in. I am so excited for you to be here because when I met you, really one of the main reasons I wanted you to come on as an operations director was because your past experience at In-N-Out, because they really taught you amazing customer service.
So it's actually really funny. In-N-Out was my first job. I think I got hired 15 and a half or 16, and they were super customer centric and super customer focused. So their motto is the customer is always right. And that has been something that I've carried with through all of my experience. So
yeah. You told me the craziest story in your interview with me. Share with our listeners what you had to experience in regards to the customer service at In-N-Out.
So, quite funny. You know, one of my favorite positions working there was the customer service windows, where you would hand out the food, you would greet the customer, ask them how they were, if they needed any ketchup, and make sure they got their order out properly. So I greeted the customer. I said, "Hey, how are you?" I got this straight look on their face, and I just still hit them with high energy and a smile like we're supposed to. And I go to hand out the food, and apparently the order was incorrect. And she said, "Can you stop smiling?" And she threw the ketchup in my face, and I just kept smiling because what else was I supposed to do? And I just like, "Okay, ma'am, just let me know how we can correct this and what your order is." And keep in mind, I could totally understand her frustrations. We had repeated the order back to her twice at her when she took the order and the checkout window. So just patience is key when dealing with these kind of things. But I was trying not to lose my smile, and I just did a nice regroup, and I just made it right.
I love that. And when we were bringing you on, we were like, okay, so what happens if, and you were like, "I've had ketchup thrown in my face. Like, don't worry, I'll be good." And you really have maintained that and helped build your team and the people who come to work with you at the events to really always put their best foot forward and give the customers a 10 out of 10 experience. So
yes. And what I loved about that experience was it was always, you started at the bottom and then you kind of grew to the top in that company. Yeah. So I had to start initially, in your first position there as a level 1 was you're just the host. You're just the dining room host. So you're making sure every customer has their food, you're picking up their trash, and that they're happy. So you're on the floors, you're getting comfortable, you're, sinking into your personality, and you're just making sure everyone's happy. So that's the first step before you can even move up there. So that's kind of how we treat now larger events of 300 to 500 people is, you're on the ground, you're making sure everyone's happy, and then you're moving up from there.
Yep. What are your biggest tips to keeping customers happy?
I think that, the key to success is just onboarding. When you onboard someone, you are setting great expectations on what they can expect from you and also what you expect from them as a company. And as they're collabing with you, that's a really important one is expectations. But what I live by is 25/8 prompt response times. I think that consulting and working with a company where we do sell high ticket price items. So they're giving you a check from $5,000 to $80,000. So we're consulting, but also I like to treat each individual as if they've personally handed who I work with or, who's doing the customer service that personal paycheck. So when they're trying to build out their own businesses and they're working 9 to 5 and it becomes 5 to 8 where they're able to work on their side hustle and they still do need to get a hold of you, I still like to provide around the clock customer service because that is how you gain somebody's trust. And I can expand on a funny story.
Tell us.
I remember, we meet a lot of students at our conferences that are kind of vetting us and vetting the company and vetting customer service. And if you're a real person, or in this day and age, if you're an AI bot and just an automatic response system.
Yeah.
So I remember one of our students hadn't even attended training yet. She had just sent me a random email asking just a random question. And she was just feeling me out to see how quick our company responded to emails. And if there was a personality behind it. So she fished us and tested us for a day or two to see the response time. And she came to the training and said she was ecstatic. And actually she fell in love with the training, but it was the touches beforehand and the fulfillment throughout that really made her trust us.
I mean, in any business that we go to, we go get our lashes done or our hair done. It starts at the time you book the appointment. Okay, what communication are you giving me? How prompt are you? Are you reminding me of, the appointment that I have or whatever, or who it's with? If changes have been made, are you letting me know? Communication is really everything at the end of the day. And it goes all the way through, because even if the product is great, well, if you sucked at communication in the beginning, I probably wouldn't rate you as high as a customer coming in, because I didn't really know what was going on leading up to it.
Yeah, I think that honestly, over communication is key, especially when you're onboarding. Hey, we're going to host a webinar this week to get you guys onboarded. We're going to give you a live tour of everything you're going to have access to. We document everything, we send videos of everything, and we hop on and do live demonstrations. So just over communication in the beginning is so important.
Yeah. I know you've worked at other jobs. How important do you think the look and feel of a business is in regards to customer service? Like, I know you and I have been to businesses where you go to the bathroom while you're there and you're like, this place is disgusting.
Yeah.
How important do you think that is?
It is so beyond important, especially when you want to charge a premium price and you want to be the best of the best. First impression, honestly, is key, especially when you're in a marketplace where there is competitors now and they are shopping other people to see how they do things compared to your product. So you really want to position yourself as the expert. You want to have your logos and branding on point. You want, my favorite is to have a support tab to where you can reach a live representative. I always secret shop companies as well of when I want to do business with them. And if I can't get a hold of a live agent, I automatically wipe my hands. Now, I'm a firm believer on automation and over automate and over communicate, but I do believe that personal touch is so important still to businesses nowadays. We're losing it a little bit, but I still swear by it. I want to get a hold of somebody live and I want to get answers prompt.
Do you think that that's going to kill businesses when they just go fully AI and it's bots all day?
I think we'd be lying to ourselves to say, you'd be behind the times if you don't integrate it in your company in some way. Yeah. We have to stay with the times. We have to stay up to date on things. And I say automate where it makes sense, but still keep your personal feel to things. It's very important to have live customer service and just that speak your language, whatever that is, that knows how to communicate with your customer. So I believe, there's tons of great ways. Hey, help me make this email professional, or hey, help me come up with a great way to send an invite to X, Y, and Z. Total great ways to communicate. But when it comes to customer service, pick up the phone.
Yeah. I do think it's true. We've talked about that in our businesses, should we just get rid of the phone line and just do everything on email? And it's like, no, because if we are a person-centered business, they should be able to talk to someone when they call. And it's great to have automations, but humans, nothing will ever replace that.
Yeah. And I think it's just totally based on whatever your target market is. So if you're targeting 25 to 40 and they're up to date with technology and great with communication, that's one thing. But, for example, a company that I work with is in the senior living space, and we attract a lot of older investors or more seasoned investors that may not be up to date on the latest technology. So there has to be a means of communication for both demographics that you're trying to target.
So how do you deal with that? Having all sorts of different people. You are young, right?
Yeah.
How do you not drive yourself crazy being like, you don't know how to use this?
Well, I will say I put on my most patient pants every single morning because that is what this requires. And it can be the simplest things like, hey, I never received my login. It's like, well, did you check your spam? Oh, yeah, it's right there. Okay, great. Have a wonderful day and let me know if you have any questions. Everyone is at a different place with technology and text messages and phone calls and all that good stuff. But honestly, I just prep myself before because if you don't, it's going to be a long day for you. And if you do, you're going to have an incredible day.
Okay, so patience.
Patience is key.
Okay. And are there any tools that you like to use that help show people or walk them through different processes to make it easier for them?
Yes. So I love to have an FAQ sheet. So just commonly asked questions within a company is super important, and just videos broken down on FAQs. So, hey, if someone calls in with this question, I'll manually walk them through it and also send them a follow-up video on how to do it. So they not only get their hand held, but they can revisit it at all times. So if you could come up with FAQs, you're in great shape.
That's awesome. I know in our business, we talk a lot about under promising, over delivering. Is that something that you find is really valuable when it comes to customer service? Or do you think you should just promise what you're going to give and that's it?
I think there's truly a healthy balance when it comes to under-promising and over-delivering. That's a very conservative approach to take things, so nobody's disappointed in the service that you give or the product that you are selling. It's very conservative, and it's great when you're trying to manage expectations and decrease disappointment. So that is one beautiful approach. But actually, you and I together were at Cardone's seminar, the growth conference, and he was like, we overpromise and we overdeliver. And at first I was like, kind of taken back because I use a little bit of a different approach, but I was like, you know what? I actually like that a little bit. If you have an amazing product and you want to say that and you know you can deliver on it, then
do your thing.
So, it depends on the industry. So I used to manage a luxury resale shop where we did buy, sell, trade, and a 17-person nail tech salon where we were seeing about 17 different customers every 45 minutes. And
wow.
We all know when it comes to nails, everyone's extremely picky.
Yes.
And they call in and they're like, I'm really picky. Who do you recommend? Are you sure they can do what I want to do? And here's a photo. And in the very beginning, it's like, do they trust you? Do they know your tech's going to be able to perform? And so if I know someone's really picky, I'll put them with an amazing tech. I'll guarantee them good service. If they're not happy, I'll always take care of them, refund them a little bit, just make sure we get them back. But I try to manage expectations. But promise them, get them in the door, do that kind of thing. And I love the way that, another company that I work for does things. It's kind of like, hey, here's the product, and then overwhelm them with value. So, hey, you just purchased our online course. Here's a bonus for taking action. Here's documents. Here's an extra few videos. So I kind of like the over deliver on kind of the initial buy-in at first, and they're overwhelmed. They're like, hey, I just made this great investment and I'm getting all of these bonuses. Like, this is going to be great.
Yeah. I agree. When we were at 10X, it was like, oh, that's an interesting approach. And I wonder how it turns into refunds. Like, do people then say, you promised me X, Y, Z? Because the problem is everyone's standards are different. And that's what's so tough with customer service. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about not so happy customers, right? Refunds and different things of that nature. How do you deal with that? And how do you not let it get you down?
We'll just tell you this right now. No one is going to be You're not going to have a company where everyone is 100% happy. Yeah. That is just not true because you're dealing with individuals on a daily basis and they may not have a great day or a great year. And although you may have delivered on everything, it might be an internal struggle that they're experiencing that might just be coming out on you through their business. So, you're going to have that in every situation, even if you provide all the value and fulfill on everything. So just knowing that there's going to be refund requests is very important. So, the way I kind of deal with refunds is, hey, we keep track of a lot of things. So let's say we've given them a course and there's 10 segments to that course and they've gone through everything. Well, they've fully utilized your course. Whether they're happy or not, they did fully utilize everything. And, now it just kind of becomes on who do we decide to be as a company? Do we want all happy customers? Do we want great reviews? Do we want to have the patience and understand? And, kind of the way that we do things is if you're not happy, we'll work with you. So if somebody truly believes that they didn't find any value in what we did, and we know that's not the case, we go ahead and refund them because I truly believe, and I'm sure you do as well, is we're built one customer at a time. And a happy customer shares with another customer that then can become happy. And that's truly how you build a business, is one customer at a time. So you might be in the right, but just cut your losses, keep them happy. You want a positive review. You want to give them a great experience. And sometimes it's best to just cut your losses.
Yeah, I agree, because I feel like when you do have that person and you say, well, you utilized all of it, right? Whether you're a personal trainer and, okay, well, you took the session with me, whether you got your nails done, you got a full set. Well, I don't want it. I don't like it. Okay, well, you owe us the money for the work and for the labor and for this and for that. And so you can make it a money decision or you can make it a customer decision. And I believe it's making the customers happy. And it's not always that the customer's right. There's many times we give refunds and we're like, the customer's dead wrong.
Yes.
But we're going to refund them anyways because it's not worth it. Keeping that extra $50, $1,000, whatever it is, go ahead and take it, because it's like, I don't want to deal with that anyways. And also I think that they're not expecting that. In today's world, people say, nope, didn't you read the fine print? Isn't it there? And so let's talk about that too. Fine print, legal docs. What systems have you learned to put into place so that even if you are going to refund, you're in the right?
Yeah. That is very, very important to have all the documents in place and all of the policies and procedures and, the refund expectations. Hey, it's a 30-day limit before you can refund, or after X amount has been completed, then you are not eligible anymore for that refund. So it's very important to document everything. In a company that I currently work for, there's 2 types of legal documents that they have to sign before working with us. And number 1, it's terms and agreements, what all you're going to be getting. And you agree that, these are the expectations, this is what you're going to be receiving. And everything is super clear there. And then it's, what do we expect from you working with us? Hey, do you know that if you take 0 action, you're not going to be successful? We can give you all of the coaching in the world. We can give you all the tools in the world. You can buy it. But unless you're taking action and you're utilizing everything and you're booking calls, you're going to go nowhere. So really, I just think document everything. On top of that, if it's an onboarding situation of, hey, after legal docs are all signed, then let's give a recorded call conversation where we go over all of these documents. That's very important. Hey, I just want to make sure you got access to everything. You know how to log into everything. I hold your hand through this process. You get them to say, hey, I understand the terms and agreements. We always are like, hey, just in case, we make a joke out of it. It's laughable. It's super light because they're super happy in the beginning. So it's great to lay out expectations while they're happy and just make sure everything's good. And then if you do decide, later down the road to refund, I love NDAs. They're great of, hey, you understand that we have fulfilled on everything. It's, your personal decision to take action or to utilize any of your resources. But we're making a very special exception for your situation. And we're going to go ahead and process a refund. But hey, it's on the down low and this is a very one-off situation for your personal situation, or maybe it's a health issue or family because life does happen. And, we go ahead and, tuck it in our back pocket. They're super happy. We don't have to worry about any false lies being spread about a company. And that's a really great way as well. And just an email follow-up of, hey, we processed this for you and let me know you received it.
2 things I just heard you say is recorded calls and written emails and legal docs. Well, 3 things, I guess I should say. But it's all documentation, right? It's from the moment of sale, confirming this is what you bought. This is the refund policies. Everything's recorded. It's there. So when they do come to ask for that, if they do, you have it all laid out. So you can start with that. Hey, look, you don't qualify, right? And if they fight you more on it, or you feel that, we should just bend on this one, it's like, okay, great. Now again, another legal doc basically saying, we are in the right. You are admitting we're in the right, but we're going to go above and beyond for you, which I do think is actually important. And a lot of people will just say, screw the customer, right? We have a friend who owns a business, and I don't know if you saw on their social media the other day, but they were screenshotting negative reviews and then doing stories blasting these customers. And I'm like, I don't think that's the right way to go about this. Like, you shouldn't fight, publicly with that. I don't think, but that's how some people choose, to go about it. But I do think it's a lot better and easier if you just let them. The thing is, some people you can't win.
Yeah.
They're going to be who they are, and you just kind of let them be that. And it's just like, okay, great. Go be that, not with us. Like, go over there.
I'm very big on, just dealing with these things internally and not sharing that with social media. I'm very big on good energy breeds good energy. So if you put more positive customer reviews or happy customers, that's what you're going to attract. And if you put negative reviews, you might attract an analytical customer, or you might spark up a previous experience from someone's had with you, and you might get another negative customer from it. So I'm very big on you get what you give, and the more positive you give on your pages, the more positive you're going to receive. So I do not love the negativity online. I'll sell that.
Hey you, why waste time scrolling through social media when you could be learning how to raise capital, manage a team, and be a boss? It's time to level up and hit that subscribe button for the Young Boss Podcast. Now, back to the show.
How do you always maintain being the gold standard in business with all of your jobs? You've really brought a level of customer service that is top tier. How can other business owners or people who are building their customer service teams, how can they become like you and have that gold standard?
So I honestly think that there's a few things. Experience is so important, and it really can be in any type of business. So I love service, whether you're a waitress and you're learning people skills, or you're in fast food and you're learning people skills, or just pick any type of business just to get comfortable with human interaction. I share, we're both Kaios, and I believe I really got comfortable in my own skin and communicating when we had to do recruitment.
Yep.
And you might sit across from someone who really is not a fan of your house or just is very shy, but you have 30 minutes with this individual that you have to carry out a conversation with. So I'm like, I've got 80 things I need to say, and just in case they say nothing.
Yeah.
So that's where I started developing skills right there, was just in college or just joining extracurricular activities where you can interact with people, or sports teams where you learn sportsmanship and honestly how to lose with grace, sports, all of that good stuff. But on a more advanced level, there's incredible leadership conferences. There's tons of books you can read on satisfaction and just maintaining yourself as a gold standard. And honestly, YouTube University is a beautiful one, and we know that.
Yes.
For some things, it's great. I'm sure you can go on and search 100 things on how to really get your customer service locked in.
I love it. Okay, what are some major things that business owners should be mindful of when it comes to the fulfillment of their products?
Yeah. So honestly, upfront expectations is key. Just be who you say you're going to be and do what you say you're going to do. They're super basic phrases, but it is the truth.
Yeah.
If you perform and deliver on exactly what you promised, you're going to build yourself an incredible reputation. Reputation is so key, especially when you're in industries now where competitors are involved. And the more positive word of mouth, the better light you're going to have on your company.
Yep. I love that. Do you think being youthful is a power? Is it a pro? Is it a con when it comes to customer service?
So I kind of like to make a little twist on that one, because youth is a beautiful thing if you're an expert.
Okay.
So I truly believe it may take a little time to gain trust from a customer who might be a little bit more seasoned or senior.
Yeah.
But if you're an expert in your field or in the topic or in the support that you provide, they will totally follow suit and lead. So really just making sure you're poised, you're well-spoken, you know what you're talking about, you have that great training. As long as you're an expert, youth is a complete advantage. The youth can totally adapt. We can read people. We're super understanding. We can learn 50 different ways to do the same thing. Youth is beautiful, but not if you're not the expert.
I understand that. I feel that, because I do think we'll be working a booth or something, and people will come up to us and they'll ask us all these questions. We know all the answers. We'll say everything, and they'll be like, wait, you're not just like booth babes. You're not just like sitting here like young pretty girls just sitting here at the booth. We're like, no, we know what we're talking about. They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then they're willing to learn.
Yeah. It's not just the beauty, it's the brains, honey. there's both in there.
I love it. Tell me about one of the biggest failures you've had in customer service and what you learned from that.
When you're dealing with failure, it's just so important to be like, I'm so sorry. I didn't see that email come in, even though I go back and look at my email and it did come in and I must have just overlooked it. And they send, let's say, they email in, they need help accessing this. And for the most part, I'm extremely responsive and I don't miss anything. But let's be honest, some things slip through the cracks.
Yeah.
You have a phone call, a voicemail that might have not come through for a couple days and it shows up and now you have an upset customer. Honestly, service recovery is just so key.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. You did make that call and I didn't see it. And let me make this right.
Yeah.
And just overwhelm them with value. Hey, I'm so sorry you had to wait for a week on that. If you had a membership with us, I went ahead and added an extra month to your membership because that is not acceptable and that will never happen again. And honestly, when you're just over apologetic and you just let them know that you're a human too and you made a mistake, they're super responsive.
Yeah.
But if you try to cover it up and you act like nothing happened and you want to take no responsibility, you really upset people when they know that something happened or that they did reach out or that they weren't able to get a hold of you that day. And, just be human.
Yeah,
they get it.
I think that's big, is just admitting fault, right? A lot of times when you talk to a customer service agent or someone in a company and they won't admit that anything went wrong and you're like, no, something went wrong. Yeah. And you just want them to say that, like, I'm so sorry. Let me fix it. And it's just like, oh, wow. Okay, then let's fix it, just that admitting and then going forward from there. It's like, because things do fall through the cracks no matter what, how vigilant you are with it. For our listeners who are business owners or soon to be business owners, they are probably doing most things themselves, right? They might not have a team yet, or if they do, it's a smaller team. When is the right time to hire someone to help with customer service, whether it's a phone line, email line, helping respond to social media? When do you think is the right time to look to hire that person?
I think you have to take a temperature on two things. I think the individual and also the business. So would the business thrive if you added an additional person? Or personally, are you feeling overwhelmed by that communication? Is it making you respond grumpy or not out of kindness or not out of patience? You know, if you start to get short fused because you're just overwhelmed and you're being drawn away from focusing on the business to deal with some customer service things, and it's taking you out of your highest and best use. I know we always talk about that all the time. It's like, hey, you're getting paid the big bucks. What's your highest and best use? I don't want you in the weeds. I want to pay you to grow things, to train up individuals, but I don't want you in the weeds all the time. So I think it's just a gauge on, of course, affordability and, you know, if it works into your numbers, but just how do you as an individual feel? Are you enjoying this anymore? Or can you pass it off to someone who's great at this, would enjoy it even more, bring total value, and then you can work on expanding your businesses in different ways.
When you're looking to hire someone for a role like that, that's very customer facing, what are like top qualities that a business owner should be looking for that person?
Yeah, I'm sure we've learned a ton of it, you know, working alongside of you. Oftentimes we've learned that we love to hire in a few ways, and we love to use the predictive index, which is an incredible system. So basically you ask them two sets of questions. It kind of gives them, what do they think they are? And what do you think they need to be in the workplace? And you can really see how far they're truly stretching as an individual. Are they performing in a position that they love and it's their highest and best use? Or are they totally changing their personality to give good customer service and it's not truly them? So right there, you can build out an amazing profile and kind of go through what it would look like of someone in customer service who needs to be a persuader or promoter, someone who's super talkative, super social, but also on the back end knows what they're doing, is great at operations. So you can really go through and build out an incredible profile. So you can definitely test it first, but we love a good test, but there's nothing better than a very solid interview. You know, just asking, I don't love interviews where you just overwhelm somebody, but just getting, hey, what would you do if someone did this to you? And just get very situational with them and see how they handle stress. And see if, hey, you had an angry customer, they said X, Y, and Z. How would you handle this? You can vet them out just within a few questions if they have the patience, how they would handle your business. And right off of a few questions, you'll know if they'll know how to handle your customer service.
Oh, yeah. I will never forget, when we were building the interview questions to interview Krista, one of the things we came up with was we serve people food at our events, and people will come up and they'll be vegan or gluten-free or keto or whatever they are, right? And we're serving a plethora of food. You can make whatever type of meal you want out of the food that is there. But we'll have people who come up and say, I'm vegan, I can't eat anything. And then we were like, what would you say? You know, there's salad, there's vegetables, there's this. And you were like, right off the bat, you're like, what can I order you on Uber Eats? I'll get you anything you want. Here's my phone. What do you want? And then they order like a cheeseburger, double cheese meat. And you're just like, okay, it's coming right away. As soon as it comes, I'll bring it to you. And to this day, you have to do that for our students.
We were just at an event this past weekend, and now we've gotten really good. So we send out forms before students even come to class. Hey, let me know your allergies. Let me know what you can and can't eat. But they will still show up with an additional allergy to what you now have offered them. So it's just like, no problem. What would you specifically like to eat? And we just handle it. And honestly, the two allergies that I did deal with this past weekend were so happy, so thankful, and actually wanted further consulting and to work with our company because the way we treated them and made them feel special.
So it is that going above and beyond, whether it's you own a clothing store and the sizes aren't there. Okay, let me get them. Let me ship them to you. You know, this other shirt fits the same way. Try that on. Do you like that? It's just the going above and beyond, whether it's food, whether it's clothes, whatever the service is. How can you meet that person where they are with what they need? But
yeah.
I do think with interviewing, it is funny because we asked you those questions and then you get them every single event.
Yeah, I thought this is the interview. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually the job. A small piece, but it does actually happen.
Yes. So getting the interview questions as accurate of like, here, this person sent you this nasty ass email. Like, how are you going to respond? And like, you have to send a response.
Thank you for your feedback. Smiley. Anytime I'm super frustrated and I have to draft an email, I'll put a beautiful smiley face at the end. And I am very happy, but it's just my way of like showing that I can handle this very well. Yeah. We're going to keep this very positive. Although I just want to put exclamation point, sad face, grr. I just put a nice smiley at the end. So it always reminds me to be very positive when I respond in my emails.
There you go. I love it. Keeping the happiness going because you really just don't let them see you sweat. And I think that's something that business owners should be looking for when they are looking to fill that position, is just not have it be someone who just rides those emotional waves. It's just, nope, I stand by what we offer. I know we're offering the best of the best. And if the feedback is legitimate, we take it in and we will improve and do better. But if it's kind of baloney, it's just like, thanks so much, appreciate it, and move on and not let it get you down and let all the negativity get you down. Because in customer service, it is a lot of negativity. And so having that positive outlook really, really can help, because when you take things like the predictive index, if you're not living in your superpower, you're not going to last there very long. Yeah. So if you don't enjoy working with people, you're not going to like it. If you're not precise and, having that detail orientation, it's going to be tough because you're going to lose track of things along the way. So I think all those things are so important.
And I think it's really important to note is what you hire someone to do, and that might be their highest and best use at the time or what they love at the time. Individuals at your company are constantly changing. So we're constantly re-giving, not constantly, but every year checking in. Hey, are you still the same personality type? Have you adapted? Have you changed on what you like and what your interests are? So I think just, leadership communication with who's on your team. If they still like it, do they want it? Do they want to keep it? We kind of go through what do you like, what you don't like, what do you want to get rid of, and what do you want to keep all the time. Because if you're doing something that you don't like down the lines in a company, you're just not going to be happy.
You're not going to be happy. And I agree with that, because there is some timeline for customer service and phone sales and certain positions within a company that you can't do that forever.
Yeah.
You can't get told no and you suck and we hate you forever every day and just smile on your face. Like at some point you need a moment, you need a second. And people who do customer service for 25 years, it's like, how the hell do you do that? I don't know.
Yeah. And I think it kind of just reminds me of like when we're kids, our parents just kind of always told us, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. So it's like, if I have to just take a 10-minute pause or go for a nice little walk or just refocus to just make sure that I'm delivering something very nice and something that a company that I'm working for would be very proud to hear come from someone, I'll just take a few minutes. It just mark it unread and come back to it. Don't write an angry email. If you are ever in an emotional state, just step away, regroup, make sure you're back in your logical, your analytical mind, and then go revisit it. Do not email in emotional states. Been there, done that. Don't do it.
I like that. That is a good tip because I have definitely been there, done that. And then I go back and I go to my sent and I read what I wrote like 1,000 times. I'm like, it wasn't that bad, was it? Send it to someone else, right? I'm like, okay, shit, it was bad.
It was really bad.
I shouldn't have done that. So don't go and sending emotional emails. Yes. I love it. That's a great tip. Thank you so much for being here. You were nice and customer service bright, and I loved it. We appreciate your energy.
I'm happy to be here. You guys are the best.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Young Boss with your host, Isabelle Guarino. Be sure to like, share, and follow on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And let us know, have you ever sent an angry email? Yikes. See you next time.